So when you're lying, start to take your attention inward. And feel how your body is contacting the ground underneath you. And notice where you've chosen to place your legs, and if it's comfortable, have your legs long. And also, thinking of the lines of the body, observe where you've put your arms and how far are your arms away from your body or out to your sides. Do you have your arms very close to your torso, or do you have your arms further away? And is that the same with both your left and your right arm, or do you have one arm further out to the side than the other arm? And you can also, in a similar fashion, you can feel how the legs are and how far the legs are away from your midline. So do you tend to lie with your legs close together, or do you have them spread apart? And then briefly feel how your pelvis is resting and the head. And then notice, if you get an impression of your spine, just notice what parts of your spine are touching the floor and where they're not touching. And then what I'd like you to do is to have your legs spread apart, and you're going to interlace your hands, so interlace your fingers and bring them behind your head. So if you've got a support under your head, you might need to change that during the lesson, as we're going to be moving the head and the support may get in the way. But begin to slowly, using your hands to support your head, just move the head toward the right, so the head lifts a little bit from the floor and the head translates towards the right. And then you can put it down on the right, lift it and bring it back to the middle. So you're shifting the head to the right and back to the middle. So you've got to lift the head sufficiently so that you don't have the friction with the floor. And notice how you follow that instruction. Are you turning your head? Or I think the majority of the people have their face parallel to the ceiling and are taking their head a little bit to the right and then back to the middle. So if it's possible, do that. Keep your head parallel to the ceiling and move the head toward the right using your arms. So you've got your hands interlaced and they're supporting your skull. So they're there to help you with the movement. And then continue the movement. Next time your head's in the middle, explore the movement taking your head to the left and feel how it is on this side.
So the nose points up all the time?
As much as is comfortable, yes. Because it makes quite a difference to the movement if you're rolling your head or if you're just translating your head through space. And remember that you can pause and allow the head to come down when you're toward your left. And then when you bring your head back to the middle, you can let the head rest or pause in the middle. And then leave it alone and come to rest with your arms down by your side. And now interlace your fingers in the non-habitual pattern. So you might have to think about it, but interlace them in the non-habitual pattern and place the hand behind your head in the same way so that your hands are supporting the back of your head. And continue to do the movement that you've just been doing of moving the head once to the right, pausing there, then bringing the head back to the middle, allowing the head to lower to the floor when it's in the middle, then lifting it and taking it over to the left and putting it down toward the left. So you're going side to side with the movement of the head, but you're allowing it to rest at each of those points. And gradually expand upon the movement so that your elbow is sliding further toward your ribs on whichever side the head is moving to. So if you're moving your head towards the right, think of your right elbow sliding downward towards your ribs on the right. And if you're moving your head with the arms in that position to the left, your elbow is going to move or slide. I think in the lesson they say drag downward toward the left. And feel what effect that has on your ribs, on how you're breathing. And you could observe for yourself if one, how the ribs fold on one side and the other side, if that's similar to both sides, or if there's a difference on one side to the other. And then leave it, bring your arms down to your side. Just feel what effect that's had on how you're lying. Now please turn your face to the left and place your right hand behind your left ear. And you're going to put your left arm close to your body, but it's going to be out at 45 degrees. So the palm's going to be facing downward and the arm is 45 degrees out to your body. So if you think if your arm was at shoulder level, that would be 90 degrees. So you're finding where the arm can rest at 45 degrees. And during the lesson, the arm's going to be in this 45 degree position. And with the position of your arm? Yeah. So you just have to think of your arm being halfway between shoulder level and your body. It's 45 degrees. No? And the other arm is behind your head towards the opposite elbow, opposite ear. Okay. So in that position, you're now going to start a light movement of lifting your right elbow from the floor and finding how to move your head as if in time you could come up onto your left elbow. So it might seem strange. So you've got to somehow find a way. Your head's turned toward the left. So how can you start to roll yourself toward your left? And the arm has to be out straight. So to start with, just think of rolling toward your left side. Have that as a beginning. Think of rolling toward your left and feeling how the pressure starts to shift on the left arm that's out by your side. So your right hand is behind your head, and the left arm is out by your side. And the idea is that you're going to have to round the top half of your body, and you're thinking of coming up onto your left elbow. So think back of some of the other lessons that you did last week. So think of your legs, think of how the left, you can need to move your pelvis, so the pelvis is one of the driving forces in the movement. And the left knee will bend and open out to the side. And it's important of where, what happens with your head, where you're looking. And think back of the movements that you did holding, the chin in the hand and rolling, how that brought you up into side sitting, when this is a similar movement, but you're just exploring how the arm can be out at 45 degrees and how you can come to be propping up on the elbow. And so you need to involve your pelvis, allow the left knee to bend out toward the side, and you need to find the trajectory of the head, of where does the head move through space to allow you to come easily onto the left elbow. And the arm needs to stay at 45 degrees. So the position of the arm out by your side at 45 degrees, it's similar to a constraint. So the idea is that you have to organise your torso, your head, your pelvis, your chest in a way that you can roll over that arm. So it can roll up onto the elbow, and then you can reverse the movement. And as you reverse the movement, feel the pathway of the movement, of how do you return via the arm to lying on your back. And remember the pelvis, so feel how your pelvis can roll toward the left knee can bend, and the left knee responds to the movement of the pelvis. And your right knee may bend as well, but the left knee is more active at this stage in the movement. So in this lesson there's a lot of moving through space and finding the easiest pathway to organise yourself in the movement to make the movement easier. So then next time you're on your back, leave it and take a rest lying on your back. And now that you've got a better image of the movement, the second side, you've already learned, so I imagine that the second side is going to be easier for you to do it. So this time you're going to have your right arm out by your side at 45 degrees. And the left hand is behind your head going toward the right ear. And you're going to do a similar exploration. And the palm of the right hand is facing down to the floor, because you're going to, later on in the lesson, use that hand and need to have support from it. And begin to move now in a similar fashion so that you could come on to your right elbow. And again, just do it slowly. Feel, now first of all, how does your head have to move? It's important to keep your head low to the ground. And you can feel how your body starts rolling to the side, the pelvis will roll. And as a consequence of the pelvis rolling to the side, the right leg will bend, the right knee will bend out to the side. The left knee may follow as well. And you can feel the arc of the movement that will bring you up onto your right elbow. And what happens, in your chest, you may, and there's various ways of doing the movement, but what you're looking for is to do it easily, to keep that quality of the movement. If you think earlier today, we were talking about the qualities of movement, and I was thinking of, the mastery of movement, how movement can be effortless, harmonious. And you can think of the parts of yourself that are involved, how the head is moving, and then how the pelvis rolls and the knee, and feel the sequence of the movement, of how the different parts move one after the other. And continue as you do the movement to explore the pathway that your head makes through space. So you may find that it'll be easier if you keep your head low toward the ground, and then when you come, it'll move away from the ground at some point. But see if you can explore the pathway of the head and the trajectory it takes to bring you up onto the right elbow in a smooth, flowing fashion. And then take a rest. Just lie on your backs and take a rest. Now please put your left arm out to your side at 45 degrees. But this time you're going to lift your right arm into the air. So the right arm is in the air up toward the ceiling. And you've got the same idea in mind of coming up onto your left elbow, but you're going to use the right arm to help you with the movement. So think of how the right arm could possibly reach up toward the ceiling. And you're still thinking of the same ideas of how the head's moving through space. And how can you move the right arm? So you have to think of also, there's going to be a certain, first there's going to be a connection of the arm into your chest. And you can feel, as you do the movement of the right arm, there'll be a certain direction, or explore the direction of the arm reaching, that will help you to come up onto your left elbow. And again, because you have that inclusive attention, so it's not only the right arm that's involved, but you're going to continue to roll your pelvis, and as a consequence of the pelvis rolling, the left knee will bend, and you'll find yourself coming up easily with a nice fluid action. Onto your left elbow. And some people are allowing their arms to come further away from their side. So there's a few people with arms out at shoulder level. So the arm's one of those critical elements of precision in this lesson. So check every now and again where you have your arm. And if you feel, check if it is out at shoulder level or sneaking up to shoulder level. And if it is, bring it back down closer toward your side. Because the organisation of the arm means that you've got to organise the rest of you around the arm. You have to round your back, the head has to move in a certain pathway, the pelvis rolls. Not necessarily. So the arm's starting up towards the ceiling, and you're going to use the arm, or explore how you could use the arm to help you come to propping up on the elbow. And then next time you're towards your back, just take a rest on your back. And as you're resting on your back, think through the movement to the other side. So now think through, you might like to place your right arm at 45 degrees out to your side. And bring your left arm up toward the ceiling. And then rehearse the movement in your mind of how you can use the left arm to help bring you up onto your right elbow. And remember, it's not only the arm that's involved, but it's important to think of how the head moves through space, how you can use the pelvis and the legs within the movement. And then begin to just slowly explore how you do that. So the left arm's up in the air, the head's moving, turning, the pelvis rolls and the right knee will bend, and the left knee may bend a bit with the movement as well. And feel how you can make I'm thinking of the other qualities of movement. So we had the thing of jerkiness and smoothness. So in this lesson we're looking for smooth. How can you make the movement smooth and flowing? And how can you change, go back in, as you go back down in the movement after being on the right elbow, how can you reverse it? And again, remember every so often, check whether, if you've got your arm at that magical 45 degrees or if you've allowed it to drift more up towards shoulder level. And then leave it and take a rest on your back. And please bring both arms up toward the ceiling. And start to explore moving as you have been, but once towards your left and once towards your right. So now you've got to think, say if your intention is to come up onto your left elbow, you have to think of how, as you come towards your left side, that the left arm is still going to come into that position of 45 degrees, and you're then going to roll onto the left elbow. And then reverse the movement and come onto your back. So though the arms are up at your ceiling, you've still got in mind that you're going to come up onto, say first of all, your left elbow, and you need to explore and find how that left elbow can come to the position that it was in the previous movements, which is 45 degrees out from your side. And then when you've gone down from the left onto your back, then repeat the movement going to the right side. So going once to one side and once to the other. And explore how you can easily roll up onto your elbow. And notice as you come up onto your elbow, what happens to your hand? Can the hand still remain soft throughout the movement? And feel the pelvis rolling. And whichever side that you're rolling toward, allow that knee to bend out to the side. And the other knee will follow. So you think you're nearly coming up, you're not at this point coming up to side sitting, but your legs are starting to take that configuration. So the knees are bending. And the knees bend as a consequence of what's happening with the pelvis, and the idea that you can roll easily onto one elbow on one side, and the elbow on the other side. And feel, where does the arm touch the floor? And this lesson's a lot about, I guess, changing orientation, finding different positions in space. But it's also a lot about how the pathways of the movement and how you can roll up through the arm on one side in an easy, comfortable fashion. And then leave it and rest on your backs. Now bring your left arm to the ceiling, spread your legs apart, and your right hand is at that magical 45 degrees, halfway between shoulder level and your body. And now you're going to continue coming up onto your right elbow, but you're going to continue the movement and feel how you can come up onto your right hand. So you're going to start the movement as you did previously, allowing the left hand to assist. And you're going to come up onto your right elbow, but then you're going to continue the movement so that you come up into side sitting and you're able to straighten the elbow and prop onto your right hand. So think of how the head is going to move through space to the right as it did when you were propping on the right elbow. The right knee will open out to the side. The left knee will also bend. And then you can keep moving. And it's like you roll over the right elbow onto your hand. And you have to find where the arm is positioned, so it's at approximately 45 degrees, and feel where the hand wants to go. How can the hand be used and positioned to make it as easy as possible for you to come onto the right hand? So for one thing, the palm has to be facing downward. And you may find it helpful, if the hand is soft, and if it's near towards your right knee. So explore precisely where the right arm and the right elbow can assist you most, and have the idea that the right hand will come toward the right knee. And as you come up, it's like I'm thinking of transmission, but you're sequencing the movement via the elbow smoothly onto the palm of your hand in a fluid motion. And your hand is at that mid 45 degrees out from your body. And feel how the left leg follows the right knee. So the right knee leads the movement, and then the left knee will come towards the sole of the right foot. And it'll be the inside edge of the left leg that comes to the floor. And then let it go and rest on your backs. And when you're ready, start exploring the same sequence of movement to the other side. So this time your right arm's going to be up into the air, the left arm's out at 45 degrees. You're going to turn to the left, allowing the left knee to bend. The right knee will follow. And you're going to continue rolling up through the elbow to come onto the palm of the left hand. And again, it's a very fluid motion. And think of, remember the head rolling, how you keep the pathway of the head as low for a long time as you roll on toward the side. How the arms at that 45-degree position with the palm face downward. And then you come up through the elbow onto the hand. And it's a soft movement, a soft use of your hand. If you're thinking of the timing of the movement, the transition from the elbow to the hand, it's not jerky, there's no real pause in the movement if possible. You just continue up onto the palm. And remember the pelvis. There's a lot of power in the pelvis, and you can roll your pelvis and the legs follow. If you're thinking of arcs of movement, you can think of the arc of movement of your pelvis and your head, and how that can bring you onto the palm of your left hand. And then take a rest on your backs. Now we're going to do a very similar movement with a slight variation. So please spread your legs and bring them into the air with the knees bent. So both of your knees are above your body and the knees are spread apart. Bring both of your hands to the ceiling. And begin to do the same movement of rolling toward your left, so that the left knee will come to the floor first, and then you're going to lean on the left elbow and come up onto the left hand. So it's a similar movement as you were doing before, only your legs are in a different position. And you're thinking of how the right arm can help you with the movement, how you're going to place the left hand out at 45 degrees, rolling over the elbow. And then as you come up, you end up in a side sitting position with the right hand, with your left hand near the left knee and the elbow straight. And you just lightly and easily roll over the left elbow and come onto your left hand. And remember, the pivotal things are, which a lot of you I think have explored and found out, of the head moving in space, how you roll your pelvis, and where you position your arm and hand. And the next time you're on your back, continue the movement but to the other side. Start moving now toward your right side and feel how you can again move, like roll over the right elbow and come up onto the right hand. And so there's quite a lot of timing involved in the movement and the sequencing of the parts, the positioning of the hand. And when you're comfortable doing it on the right side, then go from side to side. Do the movement once, rolling up onto the right hand, and then rolling back down, and feel how as you roll down, what part of your back is in contact with the floor, and then come up onto the left hand. And make the movement round. And then leave it next time you're on your back and take a rest. Bring your knees above your body and lift both hands into the air. And now you're only going to roll toward your left side as you did in the previous movement. But as you come onto your left hand, which is going to be near the knee, you're going to continue the movement and feel how your pelvis can come away from the floor and you can lean on your knees. So begin by doing what you know. Do the movement to your left. Feel that you place your hand in the 45 position. And then how you can continue the movement to come onto your knee. And then you reverse the movement. And again, just feel an easy transition from a side sitting position, how you can continue the movement. The pelvis moves away from the floor and you start to come onto your knees and then you reverse the movement. And feel the arc that your pelvis makes and the head, And at this point you can help with your arms to come up onto the knee, or both knees. And the movement's got that easy reversible element to it. Explore the movement of the head and how as the head comes up, is there a certain pathway that it takes is going to help with coming up onto the knees and then back down. And then rest on your back. And as you're lying there, again, you're getting a clearer picture of the movement. So you could think through the movement to the other side. So how can you organise yourself with your arm out at 40? You know, if they start up at the ceiling, then you roll through the right side. You translate, or the transmission of weight goes through the elbow up onto the right hand. And then you come up onto your knees, and then you reverse the movement. So now bring both of your legs over your body. The knees are apart. They're spread apart. The arms are up toward the ceiling. And you roll toward the right, bringing the right hand at 40, or the right elbow and arm at 45 degrees from your body. You roll over the elbow onto the hand, and then the pelvis comes into the air, and you come onto, you start to lean onto the knee, and then you can find the pathway and the organisation of what you do with your torso and your head to bring you onto the knees. And make it enjoyable, make it a fluid, fun movement. And when you're on your back, stay there, take another pause. Return to having your knees above your body. Knees are apart. The arms are up toward the ceiling. And now you're going to do the movement from side to side. So you're going to roll, we'll say arbitrarily to the right initially. You're going to roll via the elbow and hand and come up to kneeling. Then you're going to reverse the movement, come onto your back, and then roll to the other side and do the same thing. And feel what pathway the head takes. And then you can begin to explore what would it be like if your head doesn't return to the floor during the movement. So the head is a little bit away from the floor as you move from side to side. So begin doing the movement when you're ready. And you have to expand your awareness, also have an inclusive attention, because it's quite a large movement. So you have to be aware of where the people are around you so that you don't meet in mid-air. And feel how you can make the movement faster. How can you organise yourself to make the movement fast and smooth and light? And what has that got to do with how you organise the pathway of movement of your head and your pelvis? So it's going from side to side, up onto your knees, back down. It's as if the arms are like the rim of a wheel, and you roll over them and come up to kneeling on one side, and then kneeling on the other side. And then I think we've got an opportunity for synchronized rolling here. So have a lie down on your back. And you've done it previously. You're going to expand your attention to be aware of the people around you on either side. And then you're going to do that movement to one side and then the other side. And you're going to do it in a synchronized fashion as much as possible. So you have to work out if one person's starting the movement, what pace you're going to move in. And you're going to go in one direction and then the other. So bring your knees above your body, arms up toward the ceiling, and then just start rolling toward your right, being aware of the people around you and the rhythm and pace of the movement, coming up onto your knees and then onto the other, reversing it and coming through to the other side. And feel how you sort of roll over your pelvis. If you want to make it a light, fast movement, you're not rolling over your upper back, but you're rolling, taking more of the weight across the pelvis and lower back. And just do as much as you like, and then stop and rest on your back. And as you're resting, feel how that is for you now. Feel how your hands are lying, how the pelvis is lying, how you're contouring the floor. And then thinking of the movement, how are you going to roll and come up to sitting and then to standing? How can you incorporate the movement that we've done to come up into a standing position? And when you're standing, you can have a bit of a walk around, and then you can feel how you're walking around, and when you're ready you can complete the day in whichever way you like. You could chat to some friends or collect your bags.